Greenland just seems like a non-entity. I don't really think about it that often, except we fly over it sometimes on our way to Europe. Why would Trump make this move? Was this a strategic move? What is he trying to get? Successful, unsuccessful?
There are multiple factors. It's never, ever reducible to one. It's multiple. Saber rattling against a tiny country like Denmark is a tasteless piece of bluster. So I assume part of what's going on here is it's just bluster. It's just Mr. Trump being, this is something nobody would say or do in the modern way. You don't have relationships between countries handled in this way. It's just not done. And so he does it. So that's one thing that's going on here. Number two, he wants, and the argument is now getting stronger because of it, he seems to want to disrupt and dismember and destroy NATO. Because this certainly makes NATO look like nothing if it goes through. It already makes it look like nothing that this could even happen. Now that's a whole conversation. What would the logic be? But I remind you of what I said earlier. I can tell you a logic for why Mr. Trump might want to get rid of NATO. But I would be articulating something further and better than anything he has said or anyone speaking for him has said. So I'm not sure it's me trying to come up with a strategical rationale. I mean, it would be me doing it, but I would have no way of knowing whether or not something like this is in the minds of because they're not saying anything like that, so who knows? I don't see in him the strategic logic. Third, there already are U.S. military bases in Greenland. They've been there for years. So the notion that this is a security, there's not the slightest evidence that anybody else is encroaching, whatever that might mean, on the U.S. bases. The Danish government has not said a word to indicate that it doesn't want them. On the contrary, in the days since Trump started, they have offered more bases to the United States than they already have. So I don't see. He says it's national security. I have no idea. If you're looking for the Chinese, they don't have any role there particularly. So could they come one day? Yeah, but that's true anywhere. They could come one day and sit outside the harbor in any country on earth. I mean, so I find it very bizarre. Does Mr. Trump want to have the privilege for his sons to grab property and start building hotels and golf courses?
In Greenland?
Yes. You know what the argument there is? Which Mr. Trump has articulated.
Oh, really? I missed that.
Not this time. Earlier.
Okay.
He articulated the argument that, you'll love this, climate change, which he doesn't believe in, means that it's getting warmer. And Greenland will be melting its ice. And more of Greenland will become livable.
That's a nice little contradiction.
Yes, you like that one? And he said this, he wants to build hotels and golf courses. By the way, that's what he does. Doesn't do it well. Lots of them are losing money, but he does that. He likes that. Sort of the real estate patrician's notion of having arrived. So that might be, I mean, he can make sure as president that his kids get the prime real estate rather than the shitty real estate, whatever. So when I make those arguments, since nobody else has expressed any interest, there's no competitive, Britain or Denmark, nobody that I know of is eager for Greenland. So I go back to the beginning. This is Mr. Tough Guy. And if I were going to play amateur psychologist, not just for Mr. Trump, but for the establishment here in the United States, then I'd come up with the following. To do the four things at once that he did, I'm going to take Panama Canal, I'm going to take Greenland, I'm going to make Canada the 51st state, and I'm going to
rename the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, not so much that. I'm going to hit Mexico with tariffs, deportation. Then this is classic American politics. That's nationalism. It's the glorification of the nation as the power that rules the world. We're going to do this to this country and this to that country. It goes with the territory. It's what a leader should do. Mr. Trump said at the night of the election, when he couldn't claim a mandate, he talked a lot about unity. Presidents usually do after elections.
There hasn't been much unity.
No, there hasn't been, and there hasn't been even much talk. I mean, he did it the night of the election, and not much after that. Not much talk. Well, the country can get united around its empire, and we're sticking it to Panamanians, Danes, Canadians, and Mexicans. See that? We Americans are our leader.
Well, that does seem like a good strategic move if it helps bolster support for him by uniting people under a nationalistic.
I think people are now sufficiently. I think we are sufficiently weaned away from the neoliberal globalization period, when an enormous effort was made to teach us to be okay with factories running away because the global economy would deliver goods and services more cheaply than otherwise, and everybody wins from this one, never true, but a nice story to tell. We've been weaned off of it. So now it's okay. The president can give billions to this industry, billions to that industry, hit the market with all of the stuff about don't tax out the window. All of the stuff about the free market, don't interfere in the free. He's interfering every day. His tariff is an interference in the free. I mean, it is the taboo, the Republican taboo. We won't tax. We don't interfere in the free market, and thereby we make your life better. It was always bullshit, but it was their bullshit. Many elections won by the Republicans were won because they promised either not to raise taxes or to cut them. They are the anti-tax. And now they've become the pro-tax party. Like they've become what free market? F the free market. We don't like this. We don't like this. We're going to interfere this way here. We're going to interfere that way over there. Staking countries is not leading things to the free market. You are not doing that. It's a nationalist turn, and it will be justified on the same grounds that nationalists turn always have been, which is threat from abroad. And you can then articulate it as fentanyl coming into your country. That's one threat abroad. Or vague, aggressive actions by the Chinese, which, the Chinese go out of their way to say, we don't want to interfere in any of this. We just let us grow.